This week's edition of Mainely Motorsports.
Can you and I be friends? Here we go.
This is Mainely Motorsports, a comprehensive rundown of all the local racing action with your host, Steve Perry.
People tell me, when they see me, you're the guy, the Mainly guy.
Highlights, in-depth interviews, and stories behind the action. Add to the show at 207-324-1220. Live on the radio, live video stream, and on demand as a podcast.
My goal in life is to have an empire, my Mainly empire.
Now, let's get local. Mainly Motorsports.
Welcome to this week's edition of Mainly Motorsports. I'm your host, Steve Perry, and I'm back here with Greg Emerson as my co-host this week. She didn't quit. She didn't throw me out. We're still together. She had more important things to do tonight. She had to get her hair done. You know, we're going to Celebration of America, so she wants to look good for the...
I can't use that excuse.
Yeah, you got no fur, right? You know, you're like, large and bald, or what is it?
In charge.
Yeah, large and in charge. But nope. Obviously, Andy Austin's in the studio. We got our special guest, Tommy Nason. Going to be a fun show as we go rehash 46 years of racing with him. But going to be a great show. Got some racing in. Some tracks lost it. Some tracks got it. But Mainly Motorsports is driven by Rejuvenate Canna Co. of Parsonsfield, supplying the Northeast with the finest flour and more ways to enjoy their products. More ways to enjoy their products are coming soon. Connect with them on social media, primarily Facebook and Instagram. And by Dow Excavating, now hiring the right CDL driver, a family-run company out of Hollis, DowExcavatingInc.com. years ago, that would have been a great thing for you. Get a license, be a truck driver, you know?
Yeah, years ago.
Imagine how big you'd be now if you just sat in a truck and drove all years, right? With your cooler in the passenger side. Well, you know, we'll talk to Tommy Nason about that, right?
Yeah.
You know? But,
well, they are looking for someone who, has been seasoned and is looking to kind of dial back a little bit. So, like, that's their best job candidate. Talking to Matt, he said, we'll take someone fresh, but we love people who have, some experience under their belt, too.
yeah, that was Greg's season back after what was it, what was the coffee place that you...
Oh, Green Mountain.
Yeah,
Coffee,
when Green Mountain, Greg went on hiatus for 2 years, right?
Yeah, it was like a year.
Yeah, he
year
went
and a
sat
half.
on the couch for a year and a half.
Yeah, that was the excuse I was given. But
Yeah.
Was it COVID?
No,
it was severance.
severance. Yeah,
COVID or severance. That'd be a great game.
I got a year and a half severance.
So yeah, rather than invest that severance, Greg no, I'm gonna. He laid it all out. I can do this for a year and a half. So
What did Bon Jovi say? It's my life. Something
Yeah.
like that?
yeah,
Frankie said I did it my way.
Yeah.
Greg.
I ain't going to live until I die. Is that what it is?
Yeah, whatever.
I don't know.
Greg did it.
You're asking me to recite a Bon Jovi song that isn't living on a prayer.
Steve's bringing up my past.
Nothing wrong with it.
No.
You're still living, but you had a fun weekend. You did some racing, right?
Oh, yeah.
How many days?
Just 2 this weekend.
Just 2?
Yeah. Friday at Lee and Sunday at Oxford.
Did you have plans
There you
Saturday, or did it? Well, obviously Saturday and Saturday affected you
Saturday I
some.
was supposed to go to Oxford, and Sunday I was supposed to go to Hudson. But because Oxford canceled and went to Sunday, I went to Oxford with Garrett, and I called in a favor to Dan Collins to cover me with Connor at Hudson. So I don't think Mike Parks is happy about that.
Wow. I saw the post.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Are you talking about the Dan Collins post about the Granite State Pro Stock Series?
yeah,
So what's the intel on that? You're a spotter. Obviously, you
I'm
kind of
trying to think of a way. His delivery probably could have used a little work, but
Who, Dan's?
yeah.
Oh,
but,
well, that's on brand.
But that's Dan, and we love him for it. But he's not 100% wrong. So
About how much percent is he correct?
75,
Okay.
80. But he just was angry at the moment and tight.
Right. Yeah.
So
what do they need to clean up? I don't understand the code that he writes with sometimes. You know what I mean? What's he trying to say? What is it? Slow cars that just need to listen to race control?
There's no, and it's been an ongoing problem. And Mike has tried to get them to commit one way or the other, but apparently this particular person, who I don't even know who it is, but was not they got lapped multiple times.
Was it like the Family Guy cartoon where the driver's just driving through all the lanes?
I guess, yeah. Because I guess the person wasn't holding a lane the whole time or something. Or they weren't in the predictable lane, or I don't know. I wasn't there.
Well, race control generally will tell you to stay either high or low, and that person wasn't doing that.
And I've been in meetings where Mike Parks has tried to get the competitors, okay, where are we going today? The lap cars going high, they going low. Because that one track, it might be beneficial for them to go high, and one track, it might be, beneficial for them to go low. So beneficial for the fast cars, I should say.
Do other series like, say, ACT have that in the rule book of, slow cars always go low?
I don't know exactly what ACT rules are, but ACT's race control is very good. Also, I'm not saying the Grand Estates is not good.
But Greg said, every track it is different on where the cars, where it's beneficial for the lap car to be for the lead cars.
Oh yeah, no, I get it. You want to be out of the racing group.
It's predictability. It's not it doesn't matter. It's more predictability. So that they.
If I'm trying to win a race, I got a mirror full of somebody who's fast.
Somebody, you're catching this lap car, he's going to stay on the bottom. You know what I mean? Or he's going to move to the top. You don't need to catch him and then him decide, I'm going to move to the top and get out of this guy's way.
Yeah.
It's just, it's makeshift.
I had to laugh at the response to Parks because he just.
I love that Parks responded.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
you
Well,
gotta
the
give him
top 3
credit.
guys didn't complain. Maybe do better next time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff.
No, and it's consistency, and that, that's between the spotter and the driver, and and it sounded like there was a little bit of communication. It almost sounded like the spotter wasn't getting the information and relaying it onto the driver.
Yeah. Some spotters or the driver themselves are supposed to listen to a form of race control to be directed in situations like that. And apparently there are people, I'm not naming names or telling who people are, but there's people that still don't do that in this day and age. And that just messes everybody up. I mean, I've been in spotter stands all the time where, like,
You showed me how to do it.
even at Oxford, I've been at a spotter stand and they're like, hey, 14 car no, not picking on Scott McDaniels here because he just won, but 14 car, back 3 spots, when they're trying to do realignment and the guy's just not moving. Well, that holds up the show.
Yeah.
And when you hold up the show, like, we're all from the Beech Ridge era. Let's agree with that. So our shows were tight. And there's a lot of people that have transferred to Star, to Oxford, to Wiscasset, to different places that have seen how Beech Ridge worked and have tried to help these places streamline. For as many divisions as Oxford runs, they're pretty streamlined now.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
They had, 8 divisions?
They run off pretty good. So, but, like, it's just part of the show. You're holding up the show. And that's what makes certain people angrier than others, I should say. I don't want to call out any names.
It's one of these things where you kind of wish this Thomas Michael Curley was still around because just for the entertainment factor alone, that guy would have been chased out of the racetrack.
Yeah, like that. He set the standard.
Yeah.
And honestly, he set the standard. And when Beech Ridge was sanctioned by ACT is when all of that started changing and started coming to it's basically the ACT way, how Beech Ridge was ran for many years, because after they left, they just kept doing it the same way.
Yeah, whatever worked, right?
Right. So Curley's effect played a big role in how Beech Ridge ran and how other tracks are now getting
Efficiency.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. Time. People don't want to sit there for 4 hours.
Unless they're at Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
Then they'll
Waiting
just-
for the next fight.
They'll just sit and watch that.
I'm talking about going to a race. I'm not talking about going to a circus.
Oh, my
So
God.
we all know how temperamental Dan McKeag is. I've been at a racetrack with Dan McKeag as a fan watching, and he's like, show's been 3.5 hours. We're out of here.
Yeah.
And got up and left with 4 features left to go because he's like, I'm not sitting there for that long.
It's one of the reasons I don't go to the races as much as I used to. Simply because it's like a child who grows up a certain way, and to your point, we all grow up a certain way. We grew up with Beech Ridge.
Right.
So when I go to what I call, and I understand the game is different now, but when I go to like dance recital racing, where there's like 12 or 13 divisions, like dance competition racing, everybody's there. I'm worn out, after just 2-3 hours, and they still have 7 divisions to go. And if I don't know anybody, then I'm just going to leave. And I've done that enough times to be like, how long is the show going to be? 5 hours? I think it's great that Oxford's doing what they're doing now.
Yeah.
As far as being able to run it off very quickly.
They recognize, and I'm not saying, they're the golden rule, but like they recognize car count situations, I should say. So like, and I'm not saying that they do this, but what I feel, this is just my opinion, is if you got 5 cars in one class or 7, actually 9 or under, okay? If you got 9 or under, if you got 9 or under in one division, why A, are you running a heat, and why are you running 2 of them?
Right.
Like, if you have 9 cars, give them 10 more laps and just run an extended feature and keep it moving. Then those people don't have to line up twice and move, and you got to holler and scream at them. And I don't know. That's just how
it's all about, and we're trying to deal with that at the go-kart track. We cut around the practice this week, and, talk to the parents, talk to the kids, and we got to run an efficient program. I'm not going to be here all day. And
Right.
And then, and at the end of the day, though, the management team and the officials, they can set the program up however they want, but it's the people holding the wheel and pressing the gas that determine how this program is going to go off.
Yeah. Riverside 2 weeks
Yep.
ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. The team there did a good job trying to make everything happen the way it should, and the racers just threw it away.
Yep.
We're full of plenty of hot air. Speaking of somebody with hot air, what do you got to say, Tommy, about this subject?
No,
You got enough experience.
Agree. I've been spotting a long time, and it's nothing worse. And when you were talking about a story about where the car is, I remember racing at Beechridge. Bub was coming up behind Jackie Russell. And you remember Jackie? He was right against the wall. Bub and Charlie looks at me. He goes, "You want the top or the bottom?" I went, "I'm not coming through the pits, so I'll go to the bottom." Charlie, just tell him stay up there. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard because as us, we're looking 4 cars ahead to try to tell our driver where they're going to be.
Right.
And this guy passed him on the outside. We're going to set up on the outside. Then he pulls up to the outside, and it's like that's very frustrating.
Yeah. And he probably saw Bud, or Charlie probably told him Bub was coming, and he was just trying to get out of the way.
Yeah.
He's trying to be nice, but it just stay in your lane.
The one question I got in that, was Charlie the spotter?
No, he didn't have a headset.
That's what I took from that whole thing.
That's a scary sight when Charlie used to come out. I was like, "Charlie, clean your glasses. We know what we're talking about."
We
here.
called him Mr. Magoo for a reason.
Yeah, I love that man though.
Yeah.
He was the heart of Beechridge. I mean, he would do anything for you. But Jackie would run right up in the top, second to third groove, and he goes, "You want the top or the bottom?" I go, "We'll stay on the bottom. Don't worry about us." But one thing I can tell you, I know Bub used to say in these meetings, and you've been in these meetings, he would say, "Listen, guys, if you're getting lapped, hold your lane. We'll get around you. Don't move, because we don't know where you're going to be." You know? And that's the biggest thing these people need to, if you're running the bottom and they're catching you, don't
Stay
move.
on the bottom.
Stay on the bottom. Hold your lane. We'll get around you.
Right.
And that's kind of how I always went with it, theory. But I've seen some stuff. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's spotters play a role, and it's funny because years ago when the radios first came out, I used to think, when you picked your spotter from the most useless guy on your crew.
Thank you.
Right? No, think about it. Like you were useless. You know. Not, and I hate saying the word useless, but this guy was good with tires. This guy was good with mechanic.
Right.
This guy.
I was the underneath guy.
You know what I mean. So now spotters are very knowledgeable. They you got to be able to operate and listen and all that stuff. And you guys get paid to go to the races. You're hired guns almost.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was just, like I said, I was the underneath guy on Bub's car when he moved into super late models, and I started helping him. His brother-in-law, Brent Benner, was a spotter, and I used to stand next to Brent on the hill. And the one thing that used to frustrate me, I'd say, why do we just do that? He'd go, "Well, we probably shouldn't." I said, "Then why do we do it?" Then one time they got an argument. Next thing I know, I'm a spotter. Never done it in my life.
Wow.
And I was like, and I did it right up till 2 weeks ago. I'm still spotting. Well, I'm not no more, but I did it. I like it. I like helping people, and that's how I got my job. Was just the spotter quit right after the heat, and I ended up being a spotter.
Yeah.
And we've raced against Greg hundreds of times there. I mean, me and Greg are up in the things. We're spotting. And then we always look at it. I always look at it this way. Me. If my driver gets into your driver, it's not me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to get mad at you, or you know what I mean. I don't drive the car. That's their deal, and a lot of these guys don't get that. They want to fight in the stands and yell and scream, and it's like, dude.
Not to jump off topic, but it's not really jumping off topic, but that's one thing. Because what Bub meant to me.
Yeah,
you know that. So, that's one thing that made me happy when it was all said and done, was that us and you guys, we raced hard, and we might have knocked around or something like that, but I can't recall ever a situation where we were pissed at each other.
No.
Sorry, I used the P word. But, like, you know, if there was a slight thing, Bub and Dan talk it out.
Yeah.
But, like, it wasn't, like, you know, Dan and Bobby Babb had some things.
Bub and Bobby Babb had some things.
Right, but, like...
Who didn't have some things with Bobby Babb?
I know.
But, like...
I've been escorted out a few times. You need to leave now.
Right. But, like, you know, like, that's one thing that, like... Because I was friendly with you and Bub even before I started helping Dan, so... But, like, you know, that was one thing when, you know, you think about those things as you get older. That
Oh, yeah. And I was happy you guys won the championship after that, you know, and it was like, it's full circle. I mean, I know you and I, not you and I, but Bob and Dan, we raced right down one year. It was just between the two of us, you know, and fortunately we won, and then, but I was happy that you finally guys won. And
I don't think a lot of people realize how hard those were to win at that time frame.
You had some drivers.
Yeah.
And you had to be good, and you had to be on your game every week.
Yeah.
2004, I believe, Bob won opening day heat, never lost a point lead all year. And you know how hard that is not to have a DNF and just I was telling Andy earlier, I mean, I won with Billy Rogers by 10 points. I won with Alan Tarter with no points and got the championship because we've had more third place finishes.
Right.
People don't realize it's not easy to go out there and try to keep. And when you get the point lead, you got to understand one thing: you just go race. Don't worry about the points; will come with themselves. But that's when more people get in trouble, worrying about
Start
points.
thinking about them.
Yeah.
And you just don't. You know.
You know, we have Tom Nason in the studio here tonight, legendary spotter, mechanic, car owner. He's been a part of racing for decades. He made some big news a couple of weeks ago. We're going to let the man himself unpack that here tonight, coming up in a little bit after the break. And, you know, you talk about drivers and how hard it was to win championships. There's an incredible story about the night that that Bub passed that is only one that you can tell, and can't wait for you to share that with our audience on the air in just a couple of minutes. By the way, thank you for supporting Seacoast Oldies. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. This is streaming on YouTube. Also on Facebook here tonight. Share the video. That's how the word gets out onto, just continuing to grow the audience. This will be available on all streaming platforms after the show. We got Greg Emerson in studio, Kevin Varney calling in around 6:30 here tonight. Steve Perry's your main host. My name's Andy Austin. We're back with Tom Nason after these on Mainly Motorsports here on Seacoast Oldies.
If you've still got the drive, Dow Excavating has the wheel. Dow Excavating of Hollis is searching for a part-time CDL driver. You'll drive parts of York and Cumberland counties. Local routes for a family company with local roots. Competitive pay for someone who's put in the miles and enjoying the ride of life. Find more information at DowExcavatingInc.com. That's DowExcavatingInc.com. Dow Excavating is an equal opportunity employer. Getting older doesn't have to feel like it's a constant battle. Rejuvenate Canna offers natural relief, thoughtfully made, just for you. No pills, and you don't have to go through a series of specialists to get the relief you need. Rejuvenate Canna supplies dispensaries with the highest quality handcrafted flour across the Northeast. Connect with Rejuvenate Canna on Facebook and Instagram and stay connected for a new chapter of Rejuvenate. But more on that later. Rejuvenate Canna Quality, care, consistency.
And now, back to Mainly Motorsports.
Welcome back to Mainly Motorsports. And spent Sunday night at Oxford and went up to see the fireworks. We planned on taking Debbie, but lo and behold, about 2 o'clock, the grandkids showed up, and that changed her afternoon, but didn't change mine. I went up and hung out with my friends, and
Here's my shocked face.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and say, God, I love you. And then I look at her and say, oh, I love you too. And that's it. We're off and running. But I tell her, you're on the podium. That's what I tell her. You're on the podium. Like it, love it, whatever. It's me, it's you, and then there's nobody else.
I still can't figure out how you ended up with her and I ended up with Vicky.
We outkicked our coverage.
What? So much that so did Amy Lamb. She got Scott.
Yeah, but anyway. So Oxford, highlight of my Oxford night. All right. So I'm walking by the concessions. I go see Davey Turner. Right.
Yeah, I saw Davey sitting there
right.
earlier. Yeah.
So I said, "Hey, Dave, how you doing?" First words out of his mouth, "God, I miss Mainly Motorsports." I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! we're back. He goes, what? And I said, yeah, we're back. Andy Austin, we're back on Seacoast Oldies. It's not on television. You got to tune in. You can watch it on a podcast. You can listen. I mean, literally, the guy always looks half, like he's got one foot in the grave and the other one's not far behind it. He's older, he's got some health problems, but, I mean, put a little spike in his life. Yeah, right here, right? So all fired up, jacked up. And for you that don't know Dave Turner, he was the can man the night that the steroids kicked in. You remember?
The can man.
You don't, but you remember, right?
No, I don't think
you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think I do.
Right? He was the can man collecting the $5 bills when the steroids kicked in. So, and so he was fired right up. So I said, I'll send you the stuff. So I sent him the stuff today on how to do it, right? This is what he sends me back for a text. This is the best thing that's happened to me in a long time, that Mainly Motorsports is back. So
good.
So really excited, I mean, he loved the show and he loved it. So he's tuning in, he's following along. So it's good that people are, there was a lot of that last night walking around, people jacked up to hear what we have to say. And, it's a different version, but it's a version of a lot of the same that we used to do.
Yeah, we just got to keep spreading the word to get it out there, and it'll get out there.
Yeah, but it was good racing at Oxford last night.
Yeah, it was for a Sunday night. Not bad. I really was like, because you want it to be Saturday so you can
sleep in on Sunday,
or just have.
Well, you could sleep in today
because I had to go, but yeah, I don't know. It was good. Yeah, it was like good press at the end for us. So
yeah, and it was a good way for them to kick off what is a big week from them, and it'll be exciting to hear what Kevin Varney has to say about. It's a big deal, and I know they really rolled the dice in this event last year, putting a midweek program on, a lot of money at stake. You need the cars to come, you need the people to come, and,
It's a good way to gather people, putting it out there ahead of time is the key to it, I think. And it gives them an opportunity to draw in, like the people that they've drawn in last year, and like Kyle Busch was coming this year, so.
Now, Tommy, you've run, they call them late models, pro stocks, and,
right.
and super late models. Talk about the prep that goes into like a race like this, the 150s, the 200, the 300 lap races.
You're basically rebuilding your whole car just to go for that week. You put new clutch in, your new gears in your rear end, and I'm not gears, but springs in your lockers, and go through the front end, replacing everything. I mean, it's not just show up to the races because I raced last Saturday and I won. I'm going to have $4,000 or $5,000 in my car to go run that race. To go run the 250. Just getting my car there, not $7,000 for tires and fuel, and so it's a big deal. And you got to be serious. And you got to. I'm sorry, in my opinion, is I don't have that in me anymore, so I don't run these anymore. Just because I'm going up there to. Maybe I'll get in the show. Maybe I'll run 20th, 25th, but I'm not even coming close to. So I don't do it anymore, and it makes me sad. I always did it. I've always run the 250. I've always done all that, but you got to know.
And for being in the sport for 46 years, you have seen this sport evolutionize.
Oh, my God, so bad. I mean, like I said, I used to go to that with Bob and stuff. We could afford it. I don't think if Bob Bigelow was living today, he could afford to go run with the Joey Dwyerans, and Johnny Clarks, Trevor Sanborns, those guys, putting way, way too much, to me, money in these guys, $150,000 cars to go up there. And I used to always say, go up there to run for a ham sandwich. But it's not a ham sandwich anymore. They're $30,000, $40,000 races.
Yeah.
So if everybody complains about practice, and we've all agreed that there's too much practice in these races.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Why do you still show up?
You show up to get your parking spot and pick your tires out.
Yeah, so it's all about tire choice.
Yeah, like when I go to the 250, we get there Thursday, we park. Friday, we go pick our tires. I didn't take my car out Friday. I roll it out, put it on stands. Saturday, you go do some scuffs, get some tires, do some scuffs. And I practice first thing in the morning, sit there all day. Last practice, go back out, see if the car's changed. And then Sunday, you do your deal. Get your tires, get your scuffs in your tires, and get you matched up. Guys will go out there and practice and drive like crazy Friday. Saturday, and it'll be 30 degrees hotter, 30 degrees colder Sunday, and your car is junk. And I can tell you a perfect example. With Alan Tata, we were leading the points. TJ Brackett was second. We were junk. We were on the bottom Friday and Saturday at the bottom of the charts. They ran a Granite State race, and I watched the rubber rip out of the racetrack that they were putting down, all that other rubber. We went back out Sunday, 2 of the fastest cars there. TJ went back and changed his rear end, did all stuff. I just put mine in the trailer. I said, I'm watching the track come up, the rubber come up. We're running on top of rubber, and you're not going to go good. We left it alone, went back out, top of the board. I was like, and that really made me say, no more. I'm just running my tires off and spending a lot of money I don't need to spend, but you're still buying 5 sets of tires to go run the 250.
Yeah, no, and a lot of it with those races is, you look at your neighbor. The neighbor makes you think.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they doing? If you just play your game, you'd be fine. But everybody makes you overthink.
Yeah, you go out and so whoever. Wow, well, he laid a lap down. We're not close to that. Well, we got to start changing stuff, and then now we're not close to anybody. So then 9 out of 10 times you end up changing your car Friday, Saturday, and you put it all back Sunday.
Now, you guys ran some tour races and bounced around, and obviously a lot of success at Beechridge. You had some success at Oxford over the years. What were some of the other tracks that you enjoyed going to?
Halifax. I love going to Halifax. You go up there, you got to pack laundry for 3 weeks because it's going to rain all the time you're there. But I told the guy there, I stopped the promoter, and I go, man, it rains up here. He goes, oh, no, we're in a drought. The freaking grass was so green. And I go, you got one division with wipers. Don't tell me you don't rain up here, And we always would get rained out and have to stay over. But I love going to Halifax. White Mountain. I guess I like the bull ring stuff, where you're putting a gear to get her up out of the corner, let her dig. I like those. I mean, obviously Beechridge is always my first love. I mean, I grew up, my father had a 57 Ford B-Class, one of the first full body I sat in the grandstands. I was sitting in the grandstand when the pier burnt down on Old Orchard. I mean, that's my life, Beechridge was.
Yeah.
So we're talking Beechridge, we're talking Oxford as well, and we're taking your calls too at 207-324-1220. Tonight's show brought to you in part by Dow Excavating Incorporated. Looking for a CDL driver, so reach out to their website or check them out on social media. There's also Rejuvenate Canna in Parsonsfield, supplying the best flour to the Northeast. With some great retail options coming up a little bit later on this year that we can certainly talk about. But speaking of talking, we're excited to talk to a guy that has a whole lot of intel on the celebration of America's 300 at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Let's see if we can get him on the air. Good evening. You're on Mainely Motorsports, live on the air. Hello.
Hi there. This is Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. Kevin Varney is joining us here.
How you doing, Kevin? Steve Perry here.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm up here at Oxford Plains Speedway on Route 26 in the, a hot sun and sweating it out, getting everything ready for the next couple of days.
I want to say the terminology, the calm before the storm, and we hope there's no storm, but going to be a couple of big days up there, and year number 2 of the Celebration of America, and last year, all I can think of is at about 4 or 5 o'clock, looking at the parking lot, thinking to myself, oh, my God, no. They're not getting any crowd, and then everybody flooded the gates, and the crowd was great, the race was great, and I'm pretty sure year number 2 is going to be the same thing. Do you feel the same way?
I do feel the same way, and I think one of the things that we learned on that last year is kind of the start time. I was kind of looking at the musical plan and looking back at my notes from last year, just a couple of nights ago, and I noticed that we started earlier than we were planning to start this year, and I didn't ask Tom if that was kind of what he had in mind, but I think that's going to kind of play into everybody's hand. 6 o'clock start time. There are still people that are working this week. I'm off my regular job, but of course I spend my off time up here anyway. So between racing here myself and all the stuff that I do here, I pretty much spend any time I'm not at my regular job here. But I think that was a good adjustment that's going to really help our attendance and help people get here. And of course, I don't know. There's some guy coming that I guess he's got a resume or something like that.
Yeah,
I heard of him.
Yeah, he always attracts a few people, and So that's exciting. He'll put a few people in the stands, and he always puts on a show. And I mean, just to watch him navigate traffic, and no matter whose cars he's in, if it's in Gabe Brown's car or Archie's car or whatever, I mean, he comes to race. He don't take no show up money. He comes to race.
Yeah, I think that was exemplified. I can't remember the exact year, but he spent the weekend up here about a decade ago and swept the weekend. Won the Pass race on Saturday night when before Tom and Mike owned the Speedway here. Pass was here on Saturday, and then of course won the 250 the next day. I'm sure he makes a couple of bucks to arrive, or I'm not sure what the deals are exactly, but he doesn't come here to ride around and make appearance money. He comes here to win the race, and we've obviously my son races in the Super Late models, and what a thrill it's been for him to get to go out there and go wheel to wheel. Last year he happened to start in between Kyle and Daniel Hemrick on the starting grid, so that was kind of a huge highlight for him. That so even drivers are thrilled about racing against guys like Kyle Busch.
Kevin, this is Greg Emerson. I'm here filling in for Debbie. Steve can't get away from me, I think. So
I think Debbie's a little better looking, Greg.
Yeah, we know
I guess
this. We know this, Kevin. We're all in agreement.
All right, okay.
So I got to tell you, you got some legs on you. I seen you up and down those bleachers every week, running to the ground, and you finally got some help. So that's good. But, let everybody know the other things you do at Oxford. I mean, you do a lot at Oxford to keep that ship running. You're announcing, your trackside, your promotion stuff. I mean, I know all the stuff that you do behind the scenes, but let people know how much you sink into that facility.
Sure. I mean, and I have a little red face. I'm not one of these guys that toots his own horn when it comes to this stuff.
Well, I know that, and that's why I wanted to call you out.
Greg's tooting it for you.
Obviously, the announcing, and I've just got a new partner here. Spencer's been my partner for a few years. Jackson Schultz has come aboard to help me out, and he's doing a fantastic job. He's just a kid, 21 years old, just a big enthusiastic kid, so he's doing a great job. And it's awesome to be able to get some help running up and down the stairs and taking a few divisions and letting me catch my breath. But for those that don't know, I also do not all of, but I do some of the most of the promotional stuff here in terms of the advertising and all those billboards and partners you see here. I'm oftentimes working behind the scenes, putting those deals together. My goal being to obviously help Oxford Plains Speedway, but also it's always my goal when I sign a partner to make sure they're getting something out of it too. It's a two-way relationship, or at least I try to make it a three-way relationship, really. One that benefits the racers and the fans, and also one that benefits the advertiser, and of course one that benefits the speedway, so that everybody at the end kind of comes out ahead. And so that's my goal. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of legwork. I actually, after I get off this call, I have to go out into the parking lot and collect some camping money from 40 or 50 campers. I think we got about 100 out there now by the looks. But I sell laps for the 250. Really, whatever needs to be done. I've been known to go down and sell fried dough if it needs to be done, and I might have eaten a couple of those while I was selling it. And,
that's okay. You work it off.
I do. I've even done cleanup, although I don't volunteer for that one anymore. So those days are kind of by me. I've gotten a little bit older, and as Brandon's racing career has kind of progressed, I've had to split a little more time into that and a little less time into doing some of the things like cleanups and stuff like that. But I certainly keep busy.
No, absolutely. And the one thing that, a lot of people that aren't privy to what's gone on at Oxford over the years is your love for that speedway. You grew up there, your family, and you just love Oxford Plains Speedway, and you want to do everything you can to help that track and the Mayberries and everybody involved succeed.
I do, and it's actually gone. I mean, I literally grew up a mile from the racetrack. If you go a mile past the speedway, up on the right-hand side, there's a little green ranch house. That's where I grew up. So even when I couldn't come to the races, I was out on my front lawn listening to Bobby Walker, and or maybe we were sneaking down in the corner of the fence down there in turn one and trying to get a little glimpse of the race cars on some of those nights where we didn't have the money to go to the races, but and so that was kind
Hey,
of
that
what
wasn't
started
you in
my
an
love of
orange
beer.
coat. That wasn't you in an orange coat coming up by the bar a couple weeks ago, was it?
No,
Trying
that
to
wasn't me.
relive your glory days.
It's the ghost of Buzzy.
So certainly not me. That was certainly an interesting night. Just when you think you've seen it all, then you see something like that. And it was just somebody that wasn't sure where they were going.
Yeah,
as
they
it
were
turns
just
out.
lost, but it
It's
still makes for a good
really,
story.
really hard to get lost at Oxford in a place that big. Like, you can always turn around when you hear race cars. Hey, Kevin Varney's our guest here tonight. You talk about growing up at the racetrack and now having the privilege to call the races there. It's hard sometimes when you grow up in a place that, means so much to you and you have to put the professional face on. But when was the last time you as a fan got caught up in a race and you were absolutely wowed by something that you were seeing at Oxford Plains Speedway?
Well, I mean, that was really just recently. Anytime Mike Rowe plants his car in Victory Lane, the inner fan in me comes out. And to be honest with you, Andy, it really comes out every week. Anybody who sits down in front of me will sometimes turn around and they'll see me, and sometimes I'm standing in my chair. And, I'm nowhere near as professional with the announcing as guys like yourself and Aaron Maynard and Ken Minot. I just get up there and I'm just a big fan, so I just kind of do that all night long, and I do work at it. I do try to get better, and I do try to be as professional as I can be. But pretty much every event, at some point or another, that inner fan comes out. And the one that just sticks out to me though is when Mike Rowe won on opening day, because I mean that guy's just amazing. He's 74 years old, and he's just still getting it done. And and actually, I shouldn't even say the opening day win. He just 2 weeks ago, he started 16th or 17th in the feature and drove all the way to third without the benefit of a caution. So that was amazing to watch. And I can find those stories in every week in myself that that are going to make me happy as a fan to come here and call those. And I'm lucky. I get to call those races and get to share that with the people in front of me. And, of course, it's always fun when I happen to be calling something when Brandon's racing, and if he does well, and it's fun to interview him in Victory Lane, or my nephew, or Timmy Brackett a few weeks ago. That was another one. Like, these are guys I grew up watching race when I was a kid. So, it comes out every week, I guess.
Yeah.
Is the best way I'd answer that.
There's always something, some night. There might be, a lackluster night, but there's always something some night. Like last night, I look at that like as pretty much a regular racing night. But one of the highlights for me, and I thought he was going all the way to the front, was Rick Spalding in the street stocks coming up the outside like in the third groove. He was hustling that thing. I thought he was going to make his way all the way to the front.
Yes, yeah, he was. I thought the same. I was like, all right, I'm going to get to interview Rick in Victory Lane, and we're going to talk about this 3-wide stuff and this, that, and the other thing. And it didn't pan out. I think he ended up 4th or 5th and took over the point lead. But it was awful fun to watch. The one that stuck out for me last night happened to be Scott McDaniel, because he picks a couple stalls down from us, and I've known Scotty for a while. Real low budget racer, and then of course last night was sponsored by Spencer Group Paving. Dennis is out here giving out red, white, and blue hats, and Scott jumps out of the car with a brand new red and blue fire suit that perfectly matched the hat. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, like it was planned. So
it looked like it was planned, but it wasn't. So I just thought that was kind of neat.
No, that's pretty cool. Let's talk about these next 2 nights. A lot going on. Some big money, on the line. Should be pretty exciting, and prestige. These are the races you want to win.
100%. I think that in all the divisions, obviously, the Celebration of America, the 300 itself is I think it's quickly turning into a marquee race. I don't know that anything can stack up to the Oxford 250, but there are a number of non-Oxford 250 races throughout New England that are marquee, and I think this is quickly becoming one of those. But I think it also extends down into our support divisions that are part of both of these programs. I happen to be racing the Past Mon tomorrow night, and nothing would thrill me more if I was able to get a trophy. I mean, it's going to take a lot of wrecks for it to happen, but if I got a trophy,
honesty,
tomorrow night, I would probably retire right there in Victory Lane and that's it, I'm done.
Okay, Taylor.
So, So I know some of these Mad Bomber guys and Limited guys and Street Stock guys, they all feel the same way, to be racing in front of a big crowd, to get a cool trophy, and just to be a part of that event. If you happen to get a top 3, those are the trophies that, live forever on your mantles and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a huge deal.
Now, what do you think? Is Joey Dwyron the favorite? I mean, I know you work for the track, so, I mean...
He could say.
Yeah. I can. Listen, I'm also a competitor, but I think that, even as an employee, I make a pick every year for the 250, so there's no reason I couldn't for this. But he wasn't very good last time here. I do know he had some tire issues. I think he probably has to come into this race as the pre-race favorite. But I think that Oxford's so finicky. I'm literally sitting in the pit area right now, and there's probably 15 teams in here that are testing. And, I think any one of these teams, we've got 38 or so cars on the entry list, I think it is. Any one of them at one time or another could really get it all together and maybe be a surprise. You think of guys like Gary Drew winning the Oxford 250 years ago, or Jeremy Wharf, winning the Oxford 250. And Jeremy's a team that they've got great equipment. They could really hit on a combination, and he could blast to the front. And who knows, maybe Brody could do it, or anybody like that. I think obviously your guys that are more experienced, like Joey and DJ Shaw and Johnny Clark, they have a little bit of an upper hand because they've done these races for so many years. But the great equalizer is this 3/8 mile pavement out here on Route 26. And it has made some really, really, really good race car drivers look really, really bad from time to time.
No,
so,
you're absolutely right there.
I don't know. I mean, last race Eddie McDonald was going down a lap, and that's a guy who's won a couple of 250s. So, and I know he tested here the other day. He was really good in his test. So I expect him to be a contender. And Derek Griffith is a contender anytime he comes. But I wouldn't dare. I guess if I was to look at the guys that tested today, I'd have to put Austin Terrace near the top of the list. He looked really, really good. And, as he's looked pretty good here for a while.
Yeah,
so
I think Jay and the team got something to prove.
Pick.
Yeah, they got something to prove.
Yeah, so he would probably be my unofficial pick. So hopefully I didn't curse him. The old announcer's curse, but those things happen from time to time. But and you surely can't rule out Joey Dwyer either. So I don't know. You decide, Steve. You make your pick.
I'll tell you about 11 o'clock Wednesday night.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Come over to the casino and see me.
Yeah,
hey, listen.
If you can pick it, you probably ought to buy a lottery ticket too on the way here.
No, exactly. We know you got a lot to do over there, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Say hi. We won't stop you. You'll be heading somewhere. So we appreciate you calling in, Kevin, and good luck. Good luck to you. Good luck to your son. And how cool would that to be to have him standing on the front in the podium with a couple other marquee names around him?
I would probably say. So.
Yep. Nope. But thank you for calling in. Appreciate it. And good luck over the next couple of days with all the duties that you're doing.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to me.
Right on. It's Kevin Varney, who does not toot his own horn, but we toot it for him, and it's very well deserved. It is Mainly Motorsports here on Seacoast Oldies, proudly powered by Dow Excavating Incorporated. Now looking for a qualified CDL driver. Reach out to dowexcavatinginc.com for more information, and also Rejuvenate Canna, chipping in for this sponsorship. We have Tom Nason in the studio. Still some to dig in with him on some of his recent news and some of his awesome history, plus our picks for the Celebration of America 300. You can join in on the conversation, too, at 324-1220. We're back after these.
Retired doesn't mean you're done. If you've still got the drive, Dow Excavating has the wheel. Dow Excavating of Hollis is searching for a part-time CDL driver. You'll drive parts of York and Cumberland counties. Local routes for a family company with local roots. Competitive pay for someone who's put in the miles and enjoying the ride of life. Find more information at dowexcavatinginc.com. That's dowexcavatinginc.com. Dow Excavating is an equal opportunity employer. Getting older doesn't have to feel like it's a constant battle. Rejuvenate Canna offers natural relief, thoughtfully made just for you. no pills, and you don't have to go through a series of specialists to get the relief you need. Rejuvenate Canna supplies dispensaries with the highest quality handcrafted flower across the Northeast. Connect with Rejuvenate Canna on Facebook and Instagram and stay connected for a new chapter of Rejuvenate. But more on that later. Rejuvenate Canna. Quality, care, consistency.
And now, back to Mainly Motorsports.
We're back here live on Mainly Motorsports with Greg Emerson, Andy Austin, and Tommy Nason. And just to give you a heads up, Tommy, you're going to be sitting in the garage watching this tomorrow, the race Wednesday night?
I'll be coming back from Boston. I had to take my wife to Boston. She's in the hospital down there, so I got it ordered.
You got it ordered?
My son got my laptop all set up. I can't turn it on, so I had to have him set me up. So
what is it about our age bracket that is computer illiterate, all technology illiterate, and
I you know how many times a week I holler to him, "Come fix my TV." I've turned into my father. I don't know how that happened.
we were having a conversation the other day, right? I couldn't get something. Debbie goes, "What would you do without me if you wanted to watch TV?" I go rent a hotel room.
Yeah, I'm like,
he's not kidding.
Yeah, I know.
No, trust me, I know Steve would.
I would. I'd go rent a hotel room.
I cannot. Today, twice he's had to fix my cell phone. He goes, "What do you touch?" I go, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I put it in my pocket. I don't know."
No, it's crazy.
I'm lost. But
46 years of racing.
Yeah. I started, like I said, with Michael Anderson, which everybody knows is Spank.
I was going to say, who's Michael Anderson?
Well, that's what I figured.
Wasn't he Schultz? Was that the clown? Was that the clown?
No, that was
Michael
AJ.
Anderson?
I was with him too.
Shift,
Oh, yeah.
Listen, the only thing that Louie and Michael, a.k.a. Spanky, have in common is the height.
You're right.
Yeah, hi.
And
Yeah, they
then-
don't even spell the last name the same. One's O-N, one's E-N.
In their hairstyle.
Yeah. One was 80 and one was 81,
Yep.
right?
18.
I never,
18 and 81.
When I started with Spanky, we were 18.
18 and
Oh,
81.
I got to tell this real quick. Anybody that knows Spanky, he is meticulous. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's, you know how he is. He's per profession. Running a limited, Beechridge, Clay, smashed it up. Right front, upper, lower, everything's gone off the right side. Door, fender, right? We're in there. Leon Parson, he just passed away. He was helping. We used to call him Musler. Me, Musler. We're in there working. We're like, where's Spanky? He's got a blanket on the lawn, and he's